What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video in the Ideal Auto Factory. Currently in the Ideal Auto Lounge, aka the master bedroom, because I'm getting this video out by any means necessary. So I have to show my face in the beginning. I have to let y'all know that this video is all about the DES Racing Res 2. Now, of course, before I get started, let's do a disclaimer really quick. I've had my fair share of drifting around others, with myself, in the garage. I've done tandems in San Antonio at RCHQ. Shout out to you guys with the good group of drifters. So now that I've done all of that and I've come back home, I've been with this Res 2 for a long time. I have to say that I am not a pro, but I feel like I understand a certain part of driving and a certain part of the culture. So I'll just say I'm a garage drifter, I'm an amateur, and I try to keep up with the times. So let's keep that in mind as I go through this, because I don't consider myself to be a pro. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I just do my own thing and I enjoy this hobby. I have an outline on my other phone to actually like stay on topic so I don't rant and I don't do a lot of other stuff. There it is, everything about it. So let's get into it. Y'all keep God first. Enjoy the video. So my wife's in the background doing her thing, editing. Shout out to her. Y'all go follow her channel if you like her content. If not, just support and follow her anyway. Click subscribe at Tajanel Shanari. She does beauty, all things home, mom, and also life, right? Life influencer? Lifestyle. Sorry, lifestyle influencer. Sorry, babe. She just dropped the video and she's editing one now. So, all right, here we go with the Res 2. So, first things first, what is the Res 2? So, the Res 2 by DES Racing, it is a full kit, full RC drift car kit, 1/10 scale from DES Racing. Different, effective, simple racing. It has over 10 motor layouts and short to long wheelbase. So right here is an adjustable wheelbase, and then this second carbon piece right here that I'm holding, that's separate from that bottom plate. That is where the whole rear end gets put together, and you can set it to how many motor layouts you want. Now, outside of that, you can get it in multiple colors and even dual anodizing. I went with what most would not have gone with, and that is a untouched raw color. So none of the aluminum parts are actually painted, anodized, or anything. They're just machine sanded and looking nice, but no color on top. It's not sprayed silver. It's actually the raw aluminum. I believe there's only 4 of these around. I'm not too worried about a number. I just know I pre-ordered it very early, and here it is. Because these exclusive numbers, they're getting out of hand these days. Now, how was the build process? It was a pleasure to build because it was a dream to build. It was something I planned out for so long. I mean, look at it. You have so many different parts to put together, but they all work together. The only thing you don't get is dampers, but everything else, perfect. The build process included some pros and cons. One of the pros that I had, the adjustability right here. That's one of the pros of building this. You can choose all these motor layouts. I have slots here for different things. Let me get my screwdriver. Slots here to slide this whole wheelbase up and back, forward and back. Then we have the caster adjustment here. We have 3 holes here for the Ackerman adjustment. 2 holes over here. We have 3 holes on top of the front, 3 holes on the bottom of those front knuckles. Over here we have active toe with 2 slots. It's never ending on the adjustability. Then also the ease of instruction. So you should be seeing the instruction manual right now. It is very straightforward. Everything is there, everything you need, everything that you would have questions about, it's all there. Then you have the beautiful machining. Everything is machined well. There's nothing that's kind of like, oh, they dropped the ball on that. Oh, they dropped the ball on that. Everything is nice and machined. Bearings, all of it. The quick painless adjustable wheelbase is due to these 4 screws here. That's another pro to it. So you can see there's, let me flip it all the way over for you. Right here, there are 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. That correspond to the adjustability of sliding that whole motor plate back and forth. Another pro to this kit is the price. I pre-ordered it in February for $296. You already know, I'm not gonna call any names, but there are kits out here for $600, $700, and you're stuck with 2 or 3 things. I mean, yeah, they come with dampers, but you're stuck with 2 or 3 different adjustability places, different types of adjustable things like your motor, and then you get a quick change diff, but they're triple the price of this one, or double the price, I should say. And this one's technically is fully upgraded. I hear there's going to be some more things coming out for it, but I don't have any info on that, so don't hold your breath. Not one single thing on this is plastic. All aluminum and carbon, every piece. It's so nice. Now, some of the cons, there were a tight fit to some of the bearings, like in the steering. Actually was, I mean, you can't fault it to be a tight fit, but up here there was just a little funky to get this whole steering brace here in correctly. One of the bearings didn't want to seat all the way. Wasn't that big of an issue, but that is a con because the bearing didn't fully seat. And then in the rear, I have one of the bearings already. I don't know, it's clearly a sealed bearing, but it did not. It makes noises sometimes. Got to put some oil in there every now and then, but I drive it like crazy. So the screw holes were not threaded all the way through up here in the front. These screw holes right here, these 1, 2, and then the 3, 4, they weren't all the way through, so it was a hard time making this one go all the way in. And then on the other side, there was like one that was nice and working, but the other ones weren't. Another con to it was there was no set tune from the factory. Some people probably need that. I didn't need that, but I know that's a thing to have a set tune. If you look at my Ackerman there, I did that over time. So, and of course, with no dampers that come with it, you can't really set up that suspension the way it needs to be, because you got to figure out the weight and all that stuff, whatever. Another con, I love this outline that I'm using now. It's kind of a first thing for me. One of the other cons to it was that it's not compatible with the DES wheel. So DES Racing has a actual wheels that they sell, and then when you get it, it doesn't come with knuckles. So you rely on what the actual knuckles are on your car, and this one here doesn't have, like, I don't know. It's a performance based chassis, so it's not just for looks, but the wheels don't work on it. And I have another video for that to fully explain that. But it doesn't work. So that was a con to me, because it's like I wanted this to be all DES parts, and I couldn't. Like, these wheels are not DES wheels. Obviously tires, you know, you're gonna change out, but would have been nice to have DES wheels on a DES chassis. The axles, That's another con. I took the axles out. The axles would have said DES Racing on them, but they weren't long enough for you to extend out your arms. The axles actually look like some axles that were, you know, spare, what is that called? Overstock parts. But the reason why I don't have them in there is because they were too short. Once I wanted to extend my arms out and get my preferred track width in the rear for the body that I'll show later. Another con, the wait time. I ordered this bad boy in February. It showed up like 7 months later. What is that? February is the second month. So in the 9th month, it showed up. 7 months later, it showed up. That's my last pre-order ever. I don't want to say falling for the trap, but I'm not, that's just not the world I'm in anymore. I'm not saying it's the worst thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it either. I'm just saying that's not my flavor anymore. I believe they're in stock now. You can get them through RockBait Racing. The Res 2 is a totally different wait time now because it's not something that's been pre-production. It's actually in production now. So, and that was the last con. Let's get into my personal build because this is not your average Res 2. Most of the people you'll see, they put the motor just like a YD2 or RDX. It's kind of set up just like that. But of course, this body on there is kind of scaled because the motor's in the rear and everything, and the way my battery is. But this is my personal build and what I planned for it to be well before it ever got into my hands. So the first thing we'll talk about is the motor layout choice. It is not something that is in the manual, but it is also not something that you can do with just completely the Res 2 stock parts, I guess you could say. You do need some 40 millimeter length turnbuckles here, but other than that, you're going to end up with your motor grinding some of this gear down in the trans case. And then you also need an idler gear. The metal one didn't work for me. And then you also need, you know, a lock nut back there. You should see that. Let's zoom in some. The lock nut right there. That's my motor layout. You could call that the secret menu motor layout, I guess. If I wanted to run my battery this way, I would need to remove all of this, and I can't unless I put some stuff here, and I don't have stuff to put there. So long story short, my battery goes right in here. My battery literally sits in there vertical like that, and that's not how it comes. There's a battery holder, comes with everything, like I said. So there's a battery holder for it, and I just made my own battery thing. Obviously, you can get creative and do what you want. This is what I did. So the motor layout, that's how that goes. Now on to the Ackerman choice. I have the steering, you can say the steering rack. I have it on top of the wipers. So the whole steering rack is on top of the wipers. Then I'm in the most forward hole with no spacer on the bottom. See that? No spacer there. And then I have the outer hole here on the knuckle. And that allows me to get this angle with the caster set up all the way in the rear almost. And then we have a cool trick I did here on the actual knuckles. You can see there, I have it on the most forward screw on the top and the most rearward screw on the bottom. Such a game changer on adjustability here. Look at that. So you may think to yourself, this goes in more, right? that goes in a little more than that wheel. That doesn't happen when I'm actually driving the vehicle. What happens is that stops there, and then you go to the other side, same thing. That's how it looks. And that is my Ackerman. That's my steering setup. Let's get into the active tow. Now my active tow in the rear, in the manual, all of these aren't, these links are in the front. So when you move it to the rear, it does the opposite of what the manual says. So you have to do the opposite of what the manual says in order to get this. So here's my rear active tow setup. Again, MST 40mm turnbuckles here. That's one of the only parts that aren't stock on this chassis. That's not dedicated from DES. Here we go. You can see it's activating. It works. We lean to the left, it looks cool. Lean to the right, it looks cool. You see the wheels moving. They go toe in. And then the squat isn't crazy. So that's my active tow. So I'm on my custom setup board here. I guess display setup board. I don't know if that bothers you guys. You probably can see the chassis a little better if I put it down on here. But I also went with a chrome wrap on the top deck, on the top of the bottom deck, I should say. So I kept this carbon fiber so people can know that it is carbon fiber. And I always like to see, you know, give my chassis a little bit of battle scars, so if I ever scrape something, yeah, you'll see it down there. But yeah, it's chrome wrapped. I did that all myself. Chrome wrap all the way to the back. And then the motor plate, the rear end plate, sits on top of the chrome wrap in between there. I wrapped it chrome because it matches the silver and I just wanted to be unique. And then the copper cage. This is something I really wanted to do, but I wanted it low. Wanted it to be something, you know, again, different. And I also opted for it because the motor's in the back, and I know a lot of times there's a super scale 3D printed engines, I should say, 3D printed engines that you sit there in place of an actual motor. The motor's in the center because it's a crawler, but yeah, this is one of the coolest things I've ever done. Like, seriously. And cutting the cage wasn't crazy. I'll have to make that video, but yeah, I cut the cage and there we go. So on to the custom bits not included in the kit. Again, I think I pointed that out already. We got axles that aren't in the kit that I put there. MST turnbuckles, 40mm. Then we got the body mounts. I just do that for my spare parts. All it is rod ends. Rod ends, and I screw a magnet through a nut and a bolt at the bottom. But there's 2 sets of magnets in the rear for the body mounts. And what is that? Gorilla mounts up front and these 2? Wonder why I did that. You'll see at the end of the video. You will see at the end of the video. Outside of that, the dampers are TR6, TR56, TR50s, MST dampers. As you can tell me, because I don't really know the name of them, it's because I don't stress the casing. I pay attention to the O-rings, the bladders, and the shock weight and the springs. So the carrier of that is not that big a deal to me. You can see I don't even have the same collars in the rear that I do in the front. Those are like OD collars, and in the rear we have just regular stock ones. Even the rear, the bottom, the rod ends are different than the front. RWD springs up front. Then we got like a super soft, super long spring in the rear. You can see all those coils. And 20 weight oil. And these wheels, got the 30mm Velinos in the rear. What are these, Weds, I believe? I'm not a wheel fanatic. I just like inky NT03s, and that's about it. And then we got the Velinos in the front, 26mm. And then we got the 30s in the rear. All chrome, of course. And then there's spacers too. So in the rear there's a spacer for these wheels, because if I don't put the spacer, it's gonna hit this. So it's like a little spacer for that. And then that pretty much does it. So this is the Res 2. As far as it driving, I'll have that video up for you later on, because we got to get the driving in. I got to get a good talk about how it drives, what it does, how it goes around the track, and then, you know, again, making sure I don't leave any page unturned. I'll make sure I have an outline for that as well. But I want to thank you for watching. Let me go ahead and put the bonus content, the star of the show, the new body, not new to the channel, but new to you. Been always trying to get a real reason to put this back on, because this chassis profile is so low. Only certain bodies can take advantage of it. So there goes the capper cage right there. And then just like that, the GT40 body is back on. Got the GT40 body. There it is. I'm gonna go ahead and get some scale video for you guys. And I want to appreciate you all for watching. Subscribe if you want more content. Again, this is just me enjoying doing stuff with my hands, doing stuff. Not really a professional at this, not sponsored by anybody, but truly, this is an awesome drift car kit at an awesome price. And to be able to do just that, go from the copper cage body to this GT40 body, is just amazing. The power of the infinite layouts, the ultimate customizability, and so much more that this chassis has to offer. Again, thank you for watching, and now I'm gonna cue this wonderful footage of the GT40.